All right, so for this week of the week review, we're changing the setup a little bit to make it more like concise what we're talking about instead of showing the whole Google Doc. I do have the Google Doc updated, so if anyone wants to see it, just click in general and it's in the pins basically. But yeah, so the first thing we're going to start off is just going through what we actually predicted last
Whoa,
week.
whoa, 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 wait, hold up. We didn't even
What?
introduce ourselves or fucking guess.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Alright.
True. I'm
Uh,
Fug, the guy talking a lot.
I'm Astrus, the guy that talks a little bit less.
And I'm GTS, the
Hey.
guy with the tilt factor.
Yeah, so
Come
our
on.
guest this week is DTS. Anyone who doesn't know him by name, mid laner for my team, the Gothboy Clique. So yeah, that's our guest this week. Last week we had Rimsky in, so everyone should know who that is, and that's who helped us do the predictions. Fortunately, we had two FFs, so was lucky on one case with Spell It Chat getting the fat 2-0, which I predicted. Unlucky in the case where I predicted TK getting a 2-0 and then they AFF versus Desolate.
Man.
Yeah.
TK's roster's all gone now, so I mean...
Yeah, you'll see later when we show the rosters, but they literally dropped every player on their team, so I don't know if they're going to be staying in the league or what, but anyways. The rest of them went fairly close to what most people predicted. Gothboy Click 2-0. Rabid versus Hash, I thought was going to be pretty close. I actually gave 2-0 to Rabid, but they ended up just 2-1ing. And then Vortex versus Trubizis, well, I thought it was going to be close, but Vortex actually ended up beating them, which I think was like a decent upset.
And I want to point out that I'm the only one that thought it was going to be a 2-1.
Yeah, I put
actually-
2-1. I just put 2-1 the other way.
That was a
Yeah,
surprising
but
outside.
series for sure. I
Nah, dude.
don't think Vortex should have won that third game.
Vortex definitely the stronger team.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We have some contention about who's the stronger team still later. But yeah, I think Rabid and Hash was a little bit closer than what me or Astrus thought. Obviously, Rimsky begged to differ with picking the left team in every single game. But yeah, I think it being a 3-game series was a little bit unexpected for me. I thought Rabid was a fair amount stronger, but Hash also just have a new roster. They have Hide on Blake in the mid lane now.
I mean, I think
And they have a new ADC with Little Groot, and they have a new support with Puff Nasty, I believe. So they actually are looking a fair amount better with their new roster, and I think it showed with them picking up a game off Rabid and having some pretty close games in their losses as well. But yeah, Hash still looking like a bottom end team overall.
I mean, I think it was a lot of promise, but big XD with the roster. I mean, the roster change was like overall better. Blake's a million times better than Adam. Their AD's a million times better than their other AD. Support, I think, might have been a downgrade. I'm not sure.
I'm going to say that Hash's roster, given time, definitely be better. But right now, it's not looking too good. But I'm just saying now because they've changed up everything. They're going to be still trying to figure everything out.
Yeah, the other
Yeah,
teams look a
I
lot
think
stronger.
most
for
people
sure.
agree. They're definitely looking better, but they were kind of like most people had them either as last or second last team. They still haven't picked up a single series win. It's still not looking great for them, but it's a definite improvement.
So do we want to move on past the review?
Yeah. So next we have our prediction standings. So basically every week, for anyone who doesn't know, 1 point for getting the correct winning team, an extra point if you predict the right number of games, so 2-1 versus 2-0. Right now, Astrus is in last place with 18 points. Although he actually has picked the correct winner more than me. He's worse at picking the number of games. And then we've actually both been losing to our guests every week, excluding last week where Rimsky had a terrible 4-point week. But yeah, Astrus is catching up to me though. Got 6 points last week. Week 1 still carrying my ass though.
Yeah, I'm really unlucky. I'm gonna be honest with you. There's a lot of like matchups where it could go either way, and then the guest and Fug just guess it every single time.
Yeah. Moving on to the overall standings. Right now, we can see that basically Spell It Chat, Gothboy Clique still undefeated. Spell It Chat got a FF win last week, so they have less overall game wins than us just because of that. But the big switch up, I think, is Trubizis and TK were kind of unanimously decided as like 3rd and 4th place teams before the power rankings. And with TK kind of dropping their whole roster and FFing, they've dropped down in placement, obviously. And Trubizis is now tied with Vortex, who just beat them. Trubizis has a slightly better game record overall, and it's like still a pretty close match. Like it was a close series between the two of them. As DTS said, he thinks like Trubizis kind of trolled the last game and probably should have won the series.
I mean, it was like a 21-minute Baron or something where they had like lead the entire game. And I think with gold lead, if you give Baron control to a team that's just gonna one-hit Baron like Kai'Sa, right? And then Kai'Sa Mouse just took Baron and then they ran down mid and they ended the game. Like,
Yeah.
it's not a game JB's should.
You gotta like say
that
that Vortex has. Wait, we're talking about Vortex, right?
It's the Vortex JB's series, yeah. I don't think JB's should have
They
lost.
have to have better like calls when it comes to objectives because I want to say T-Crank's team. I never want to say twitch.tv/JB's this out loud.
The hard
But
plug.
they having problems when it comes to ending games through objectives and knowing when that objective's good to get. And teams that obviously know what they need to do, like Vortex just took the Baron and ran it down, they know what to do when the objective's open and they can get it.
Yeah.
GB's is just kind of like struggling with that.
One interesting thing I'd like to point out also is that for people who don't know, it's top 6 to make playoffs, and it's actually like huge contention for who's going to be like those bottom 2 teams for 6 right now, right? So Vortex and Jabeezus are kind of pulling ahead right now for like 3rd and 4th. They're only ahead by like 1 game, so it's not a big deal. But if you look at the actual like game record, they're up like 2 games over the next teams. Like they're looking pretty solid. With like IRL, free taking maybe dropping the league, dropping down, but like everyone else is at like 1 game. Like even though Hash looks real bad at 0-3, like if they get 1 win this week and then they're then tied with like 3 other teams potentially.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
there's like a definite gap between like the top 2. Obviously, there's like the 3-0s. I don't think either of the top 2 teams have lost a game, right? Yeah, so.
Yeah, it's actually pretty hype because we're not playing each other till the very last week too, so we could potentially both not drop games until the last
like
series,
3rd week,
which would be fun.
4th week, so it's like any team can make playoffs at this point, even like Hash. Like
Even
Hash,
yeah.
the 0-3 record looks pretty bad, and it's pretty unlucky. But they made a roster change, so hopefully they can like get back in it. I don't know. I have faith. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of other teams that could be just
You
dropping.
want to move
down
on to the
based
standings?
off,
Yeah. So next we have our week 4 predictions coming up. So these are all the upcoming matches. I'm not sure if all of these have been scheduled yet, because as we said, Free TK doesn't even
I think
have
only
a
2 have been
roster right
scheduled.
now.
With Rabbit
Yeah.
JB's and Gothboy Vortex have been scheduled. That's it.
We're hoping to see less FFs from last week. I believe IRL Slots is actually trying to schedule their game versus Hash,
Yeah.
so that's promising. Yeah, so let's just go through the first game. Spelt Chat versus Free TK. I think most of us are I mean, even if this wasn't going to be an FF, I think most of us were going to put 2-0.
Yeah.
But I don't know if a team's going to be replacing TK or if they're going to attempt to actually put a roster together or what. But right now, as you said, they literally have no players. So
I think it'd
Yeah.
be pretty
Yeah.
hard for Spillet to lose to any other team other than GBC. It seems really, really hard. Like, the gap there seems so big.
yeah, I mean, they have had some changes. For anyone who doesn't know, they picked up Yangsu support and then put in Alex in the top lane, Josephumi. So, I mean, Alex isn't a huge downgrade from Mango. I think before whatever happened with him in IRL happened, he was listed as like 2nd best top in the league pretty unanimously. So I think he's going to be a pretty good fit to fill in Mango's shoes. But obviously he hasn't played any games yet with them.
That's
Yeah,
twice that happened with IRL, by the way.
Yeah, he was on IRL and dropped before playing any
Yeah.
games twice in a row.
I mean, IRL and roster changes this season, they were a iconic duo. They've had,
Yeah,
like,
even-
literally 8 iterations of the roster in the first couple weeks.
Speaking of roster changes, we have the 2 teams that have recently made the most changes playing each other, Hash versus IRL. Hash actually picking up some of the scraps that IRL kind of dumped aside with
Blake,
grabbing
yeah.
Blake. Yeah, but even though IRL has had less experience with this roster and we don't know how much they've actually been playing together due to like the volatility of what's been going on, I think they probably overall still have a stronger roster. They have like D3 mid laner, really solid D4 jungler.
Is
Who are
CBT4 now?
doing
They
well.
demote?
Swifty.
Oh no.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
picked
like-
up Swifty ADC. Their weakest spot is obviously top lane where they have Kiyoshi again.
Yeah, that's
But-
the...
Trashburger has
Good
been playing
question.
more carries, so it's like kind of a question mark there. The only thing is I think it's a pretty big jungle disparity between IRL and Hash's jungler Dax Reaper,
Yeah,
so
the
I'm not
Reaper
sure
or
how
whatever
much he's going to be able
lost
to
recently.
do in that matchup. And I also think that the D3 mid laner might be able to punish Blake. Blake isn't usually considered like a weak mid laner, but he's definitely not one of like the top echelon of like the mid diamond mid laners, right? There's a
Yeah,
bit
it's
definite
okay.
drop off there.
Yeah.
So I think overall IRL just like looks better mechanically. Hash has been playing together for like a decent amount of time now. They did make some roster changes bot and mid, so I don't really want to give it to them on cohesiveness either, but I think if top can pull some good jungle pressure up there with the advantage matchup, then maybe their new bot lane can pull ahead on IRL slots and they can pull it a win. But I'm not too convinced that they're actually gonna win the overall series, so I'm giving it 2-1 to IRL.
Yeah, I think IRL's roster just in general is stronger just based off of like point value. Like their players and the matchups are gonna be just way better than Hash's. Even Kiyoshi, I think, could beat Fresh. I don't think Fresh is that good of a player.
I mean, Kiyoshi hasn't been playing League, and he's like currently sitting gold 4, so I wouldn't get my hopes up for him having a big performance.
I mean, I have IRL like just 2-0ing Hash because I think Hash is. I don't know. I have a lot of faith on IRL mainly because I know Vaughn, Independence, the mid laner, and then CBT, the jungler. I know they've been Duet King a lot, so they probably. I mean, I know they have good synergy. Only question mark is the top lane. If like Kiyoshi just hard feeds and like tilts flames, maybe I could see like CBT Vaughn like maybe just running it down.
Yeah.
And then that would be pretty tragic in a pick-up game. But Swifty Nahor look pretty good as well. But Hash's bot lane didn't look bad either.
I just want to point out
Grit
that
looks like a solid AD.
Swifty before back in House Party was a coin flip player, even when he was like really good. And the horror is kind of a tilty coin flip player too. So
yeah, I mean, like if they have pop off moments, they'll pop off. If they don't, they won't. It depends.
Yeah, depends how high Swifty shows up to their matches, I guess.
It's also each team's grasp on the meta is something that's like super important on this patch, I think.
Yeah,
like
IRL's a big unknown, but just basing it purely off of like solo mechanical, I think IRL should be able to win.
Yeah, hard agree.
And as I said, this is like a pretty new roster from Hash as well. They have been scrimming a lot, but I haven't been too convinced by their team play from what I've seen so far. So, and obviously they are a 0-3 team, so I don't want to go and say they're going to take it just because IRL's a new roster.
Yeah.
And like maybe they'll tilt, because I think even if they tilt a little bit, they should still just be able to win off of lane matchups.
So what do you guys think about JB's Raccoons?
Yeah, I think this is my like match to watch, like closest match for me. I think Jabezus kind of got exposed a bit by Vortex last week with throwing that last game and like having a pretty close series where most people expected Jabezus to take it, I think, right?
Yeah.
And I think Raccoons have been like on a big upsurge just from week 1, right? They had some hard matchups. They had to play IRL's original roster before they had all that madness go on, which most people had rated as like a top 3 roster. They had to play Spell at Chat, one of the number 1, number 2 teams up there as well. And then they've just won a matchup last week. So I think Raccoons are kind of looking to grab some more. They're hungry. They're 1-2 right now. They could possibly go to 2-2 and tie Jabezus in the standings. But on the same front, Jabezus also, I think, had a bit of an off performance last week. And I think they've been together a long as time. I mean, when we get to the actual top 5 rankings, we'll see more, but I think top lane is like pretty even, maybe slightly Jabezus favored. Mid lane is slightly Jabezus favored. Jungle is like slightly, like Jabezus kind of, I feel like slightly edges them out across the map, and they've been a team for like multiple seasons, and I think they'll probably overall win the like across the map. So that's why I'm giving them the 2-1.
And I guess I'll point out why I'm the only person that gives Rabbit Raccoons the win. Last week I said Vortex was gonna against Jabezus, and I think it's gonna be the same way this week. Rabbit Raccoons has been playing a good macro for the most part, except for like 1 or 2 games. They are lower in ranks compared to the rest of the players, but they're definitely a good team altogether. And freaking Twitch.tv/Jabezus have been looking pretty shaky. I mean, they lost to Vortex, had a couple of games where they looks like they should have lost, or they were losing a lot of pressure when they should have been winning. So I can see Rabbit Raccoons winning this. 2-1 maybe.
Yeah, I have JBzus winning it also because I think Rabbit and JBzus are also definitely top of the table teams. I think it's really, really close. It could honestly go either way. I think Medlife played pretty well actually on the Yasuo last week. I was pretty impressed by his laning. He like kind of dumpstered Blake. But I think Charlie is definitely the better player, and I think it comes down to the jungle matchup this game. If I'm assuming Ulf and Nuggler get ahead. I'm assuming Charlie gets ahead. I'm assuming top lane's relatively even, but it really comes down to jungle. Whether or not Ropey beats up on whoever Raccoon's jungle is going to be this week. Whether it's their like main Demon Monkey or their sub, Kazuhaya. We'll see. But I think JB is going to take it 2-1 for sure.
Alright, moving on to the next matchup. Obviously, I'm on the team in the right, Gothboy Click, so give us the Fat 2-0. We're undefeated so far. We DTS didn't even bother showing up to our first match against Teemo. It wasn't worth his time.
Yeah.
So I think we should be able to win. I think Vortex is one of the better teams right now. Like they have moved up a lot in the standings. They're probably like, I would put them as a top 6 team. I don't know if they're particularly like solidified as a top 4 team right now. It's just like a lot of roster changes and stuff are going on. So I'm gonna wait for things to settle down. But I think they're one of the most like stable rosters. So I wouldn't be like insanely surprised if they were one of the teams that could take a game off of us maybe if someone underperforms. But again, that'd be up to like someone on our team underperforming for that to happen. So that's why I didn't give them a game.
I'm the only one that gave them a win because I think this is actually a much closer series than a lot of people would think. Vortex has been doing really well. Isan's been playing out of his mind. Manuel's played pretty well last again against Twitch.tv/JBeezus, and the whole roster looks really strong together. And GBC's looks really strong too. I think they're gonna win the series, but I do think that take a game at least.
Yeah, I have us taking 2-0 because I have to have absolute confidence in myself and my team. And, like, we actually did win versus Teemo, even when I wasn't there, so I think we're definitely
Teemo,
top 2, if not the best team in the league. And I also think our understanding of the meta is so much higher than everybody else's. Like, we're able to play so many different comps or whatever. And I think Vortex has a pretty set-in-stone style, where it's more on Loker to make the plays early game. Kurama doesn't look that impressive. Aizen looks really good, actually. And so Manwalrus looks pretty good on melees like Braum, but he looked really awful on Nami, so it's on them to pick like their champs. I think if they get their champs though, I think they could definitely like put up a fight.
The main reason I don't think, like, normally I'd give Vortex maybe a game just based off Aizen carrying a game, but I think Doxling's, I think most people put him #1 support right now. And I think bot lane's a lot more support focused for laning than it is ADC focused, so I think assuming Doxling's able to like kind of handle the lane, then I'm not too worried about Aizen taking over for this matchup.
Yeah.
The last game, I think, is going to be really.
Oh,
we're losing.
You die? Alright,
losing
I'll take over.
Yeah, you talk.
The last series we got is Teemo versus Desolate, which I think is another kind of toss-up one. You just have 2 bottom half teams that have some shining points, like Teemo has Hamlet and actually their AD carrying top laner, and Desolate has Syndillion, just Syndillion.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, so everyone else has said Desolate's gonna be a 2-1. I believe in Teemo. I believe they get some new players in, which is jungle and support, because the jungle and support did lead the team. But I do think they bring in some new talent that'll be able to win the game. This looks so shaky. It's so shaky.
Yeah, I think it really depends. I've been actually super unimpressed. I thought Hamilton was going to be a lot better of a player. Although I do like talk mad shit and I tell him he can't do anything without overrate or whatever, but it honestly looks like true recently. Like the series we played versus him, like the Talon Hecarim game or whatever, it just looks, he looks so lost without, like, A, he has a small champ pool that I think is pretty easy to ban out, and B, I think it's really, really hard for him to generate his own lane advantages a lot of the time versus like some of the other stronger mid laners. Like probably into the top 5 on my list, and then, but it really comes down to whether or not like which team. It's gonna be like a dumpster fire of a series for sure.
Yeah.
Teemo's sides look probably a little bit better than Desolate's, so we'll see. I guess we're just gonna go
without Fug.
Okay, Fug put 2-1 for Desolate, but can't really find out anything.
Do you want to talk over his team power rankings? Or
Fug,
yeah, I'm here
Fug?
now.
Okay, Fug's here. Nice.
My internet just fucking turned off.
Alright, well, we're on team power rankings now. We just turned, so you're good.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You start, Fug. I'm lazy. Hey, you're first anyway.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I had to move the thing onto the right slide.
We gotta get you going through so you don't DC halfway.
Yeah, true. Get it out of the way first. So mine hasn't changed too much. It's in the top and the bottom. It's more so, well, excluding free TK, whoever moved to the bottom just because they don't have a roster. But the middle is where it's like kind of big question mark. Like everything from I think 3 to like 7, I'll say. I am like huge. I don't actually know where any of those teams are right now, to be honest. Like 3 to 7 for me is like almost the same. I think 1 and 2 are pretty solidified. Like until we play each other, they're just gonna be like question mark. I put my team above, obviously.
Yeah.
So there's no stress.
Exactly.
But the bottom end as well, I think with Teemo and Desolate, most teams don't expect too much of them. The squad's kind of going to be like monkey knife fight when they play each other, I think. But I think Hash's new roster looks okay, but I think most people have them. I'm putting them 7th. I'm pretty happy with that just because they haven't really proven themselves. They haven't won a series yet. Then Vortex, I put up a Jesus just because they beat them. I'm not even positive if this is going to stay correct, them being above Jabizis, but I'm just putting them there now just purely off the fact that they won the head-to-head. And Rabid Raccoons as well, they would just won their first series last week. I had them 6th the week before. I bumped them up slightly. And then IRL, I think, could move up. I think IRL could potentially be the number 3 team, honestly, but until I actually see the roster play and like how it works, I don't really want to put them up that high right now. So that's why I have them as 6th. Yeah.
For my power rankings, it's the same thing as folks said. So I think the top 2 are pretty cemented. Spellchat definitely being 100% better than Golf Click, but those 2 are very good. And then 10th TK doesn't have a roster, so you can't really tell them to put them anywhere. But yeah, same thing with 3 to 7. It's kind of in the air, but in my opinion, 3, 4, and 5, which is Vortex, Rabbit Raccoons, and Jabizis, all 3 of them are kind of interchangeable in that group alone. I think all 3 of these teams could be 3rd to 5th place and interchangeable for the rest of the season. Whereas you look at the bottom 4, I guess you say, which is Teemo through Hashlinging, I think all 4 of these teams could be in their own group and be fighting for 6th place. Because even with the Hashlinging changes, Blake's a really good player, but I think the rest of the team's kind of really shaky, especially Freshburger. I don't think Freshburger's good at all. Desolate is still missing a jungler technically, because I think the jungler left, the Deadpool or whatever. But their team hasn't been looking really good at all. Sindelian being the only player that's kind of looked okay. IRL Sluts keeps changing the roster every week, so it's hard to rate them anywhere. Because, I mean, you can't really rate a team that doesn't have a team next week.
That's fair.
But their team does look strong, so they could be a little bit higher. And then Team O doesn't have half of a team yet again. So this bottom 4 teams right here could be interchangeable anywhere. I'm just kind of putting them in where honestly, very straightforward. It's kind of where my bias comes in. But I think these teams are just on the bottom 4 definitely.
Yeah, for mine, obviously I put GBC first because they're my team, so
Bullshit.
big ego coming in. But yeah, I mean number 1, 2, pretty self-explanatory. It'll be self-explanatory all the way to week 9, I'm assuming. Unless Spellchat loses, then I'm gonna put them 10th. Doesn't matter who they lose to. Obviously TK, we already said 10th because they don't have a roster. Desolate and Teemo, I think were the easiest ones for me to put. They look lost. It looks really tragic. Teemo especially coming off of like a big win last season, obviously, but they had like point changes and they lost their good side laners, so they just can't play. Insert like overrate runes meme here, right?
Yeah.
Desolate obviously like looks lost. Hash, Rabid, Vortex, Jabizis, RL. Those are like really hard to rate. I think Hash is definitely on the lower end of all of those, so I put them there. I think something nobody else did was I put Jabizis over Vortex, which looks weird considering Vortex beat them. But I put them there because I don't think Jabizis loses that series.
Oh wait, quick shout out. VTL Venom just subscribed with the tier 1 sub. Thank you, my man. Poggers. DTS doesn't have access to Streamlabs, so it can't pop up. But,
yeah, like a last minute stream thing, but it's whatever. Sorry. Yeah, thanks for subbing, Omnia.
Go ahead.
But yeah, Jabizis, I have them over Vortex because I think like 8 times out of 10, I don't think they lose that series. Especially not to like a stupid thing where they lose vision control on Baron with the lead and they lose Baron. I think that's a really rookie mistake, and I think it probably won't happen again. Vortex, I definitely think it's the top team. Vortex and Rabbit are the ones, like Vortex, Rabbit, and Jabizis are the ones I have a hard time classifying, because Rabbit looks really good. But I just feel like they look good, they don't look great in comparison to the rest of the league, so I'm not really sure. But they do look really solid, and I think they have the potential to move all the way up to 3rd, probably. Vortex looks really good off the back of Loker carrying early game, and then Aizen kicking in mid-late, and then just like popping off. IRL I have super high because I have faith in CBT and Vaughn that they're just going to hard carry. And I think Swifty, another addition, is just like their bot side of their map is so strong. I think the only thing is just their top lane could potentially be a big enter, but that's how it is.
Yeah, they're basically like this sounds special, but they actually have a really good ADC and jungler to back him up. So it's like, damn.
Yeah, you want to switch sides?
Yep.
That's DTS
Right
year,
now,
baby.
yeah, it's top 5 each role. I'll just go from top jungle mid ADC support. From top, I have just Fumi at the top because I think he's probably the best individual top laner. We'll see what happens. I haven't really seen him play, but I think from seeing him play last season, he seemed like a pretty good player. So, Fug second. I just think he's better than the other top laners. Timty, Joside, and Rexalis are all pretty similar. Timty looked pretty surprising when we played versus or Team Mouse, so they looked okay. Jungle, Gasp, Zed, top 1 and 2. No explanation needed. CBT, I think, is going to be like a contender for top 2. And then Loker and Ropey just below them. I think they're less consistent than the top 3, but I still think they're super good junglers. Mid, I put myself as first because I have to. Otherwise my ego.
What?
Yeah, otherwise my ego will deflate. So I put myself number 1. I think Independence is definitely second. He seems like, I mean, from playing versus him, he's actually a super strong laner, and his champ pool is just the weird part. But other than that, he seems like a super solid player. Or I know he's a super solid player. Charlie, he's a good third. Warpack does have the potential to move into top 3 though, I think. Charlie looks really, really good on Ori. I wish they would stop picking him Talon though. Like I feel like they just keep trolling with this Talon pick. I don't like it. Warpack's just super solid. He's up there. And I think Mad Life played really, really well last week with the Yasuo. So, ADC, there's Aizen. Aizen's been popping off left and right for Vortex, and he's been a big part of all their wins. Groot played really well, so I put him up there. I also don't know quite as much about Groot as I do about Aizen, so I put him below Aizen. Ulf looks really good, actually, in particular with Nuggler. He looks super, super good. So, and then Vivans and Astrus pretty close. I think the rest of the ADC pool is actually really close too. There's like T-Crank and Drowsy that like just missed out, and Svensson like probably under that. And then support, Doxling, Uklar, like top 1 and 2 without a doubt supports. The bottom 3 to 5 is kind of hard to choose. I put Manwalrus just because he looks good on melees. Just please, for the love of God, don't pick Nami again. Nahor is just consistent, I guess. Just plays Morgana and stuff. And then Sharkbait, I really wish he would stop inting because then I could put him higher. But he like, he always runs it down, like come mid game, stuff like that. So if he fixes the inting problem, he's so much of a better player. So, and then we'll move on to Astrus' top 5.
So, for my top 5 for top lane, I have Fumi and Fug Nuggler. They're gonna be the staple 2, pretty sure, for the whole season. I just put Fumi top because 1, he's my top laner, and 2, I think he's more aggressive and able to just take a lead and roll with it than Fug is. But Fug is definitely almost the same level as him. After that, in my opinion, all the top laners kind of fall off a little bit, and the next 3 are kind of up in the air. In my opinion, they can go all like these 3, 4, and 5 could be any of these like positions at all, and the rest of the top laners after that kind of just have a huge drop. So for third, I have Exalis, fourth, I have Timty, and fifth, I have Poseidon. They're all kind of there to be your top laner, your rock in the top. But other than that, they don't really do much. For jungle, I have yet again Gas and Nyla Zed. I think it's going to be the same thing for the whole season. They're both really good players. I'm just going to put Gas first because he's mine. But he's my player, you know. But Nyla Zed's definitely yet again almost on the same level as Gas. For third, I have CBT because I know he's a great jungler. I've seen him play some solo queue with Independence. They do really well. They're very good players. Kaze Haya, whatever. I have him fourth because he had a really good showing against, what did they play? They played Hash, right?
Yeah.
He played really well, and it may just be because the little gap between him and Dax Reaper is really big, but, you know, he played really well. He popped off. He did what he needed to do. And then I put Ropey fifth because he kind of the same as Kazuhaya this week, but he just didn't do exactly what he needed to do against Vortex and kind of let the rest of his lanes not be able to do anything. Like just Sidon wasn't able to do much. Yeah. For mid, I have number 1 Warpack. My boy, he is a god in the mid lane, definitely better than DTS by miles. So this
Skill factor. Unlucky.
gap between first and second is pretty big.
Gigantic.
Yeah, it's huge. DTS didn't play one of his games this week,
Didn't need me.
so that's why he's second. So definitely probably 5th place, in my honest heart of hearts. But I gotta keep up with the number 1 and 2, Gothboy Click and Spell Chat. No, DTS is a good player. It feels weird talking about you when you're in the call.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure like the only other player that could like keep up with him is probably Independence here, which is why he's 3rd. Independence, same thing with CBT. He's been duo queuing with him a lot. They've been going through solo queue like monsters, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna be the same flair to peak up. After that, I had problems putting mid laners here. I wanted to put Charlie Smells 4th, but he is only performing really well on Orianna. And that's my problem with him putting him anywhere higher, because he only can perform really well on one champion. And everywhere else he's like doing like average in my opinion. He does have really good mechanics though, so he's a very strong player. But for 4th I put Sindelian, which is my, I guess you say kind of like a dark horse mid laner. He is the shining light for Desolate, and he's the only player in my opinion that's been doing really, really well. The Rhino not doing too good, Blazing Hot not doing good. Their jungler has been different, I think, twice already, so they're not really having that solid roster. Sindelian's been there to be like, hey guys, like I can carry you guys. And yeah, it hasn't been, I haven't carried him every single game, but you should try it, and tell you that much. But for AD carry, I put Swifty number 1 because I know he's a god AD carry, definitely same mechanical player. The only problem with him is that he hasn't played anything. I'm gonna put him first because I think there's a big gap when it comes to AD carries, at least. When you're looking at just at Swifty, because I think Swifty's skill alone is really good, and he has a good supporting cast on his team. So you can just carry every game if you wanted to. For second, I have Alf because he's been like the strongest. He's been part of the strongest bot lane in peak up, the strongest and most consistent at least, and he's been playing really, really well. He played really well against what did he play? Hashlinging this week.
Yeah.
Third, I put Jazzy because he played mid lane and AD carry this week.
He does it all.
And he played, yeah, he's an insane player. Oh my god, my brain is expanding when he plays.
2 different roles.
Yeah, he's played really well this week. He's been playing really well this whole week, and as much as I hate on him, he is a good player, so he's definitely 3rd. For 4th, I put Little Group because he played outstanding against Raccoons all 3 games. Even though they lost the series, he was, for the most part, up in CS like miles, or like even on kill participation throughout every single game. So he's definitely like a shining factor in the Hash loss. And even, like I said, even though they lost the series, he was like one of the reasons why they could have won the game. They should, honestly, in my opinion, they should have won the series when I'm watching it. And then 5th is Isan because he is a great player. He's been like carrying his team to wins, and they won against Twitch.tv/Jabezus. So he is a very good player.
So it's pronounced Eisen.
Just
like,
who the fuck
just Eisen.
cares, dude? Isan. But support, I got Nuggler yet again, probably the best support, just because he's part of the best bot lane and most consistent bot lane. Him and Alpha have been like winning bot lane for the most part, like in almost every 2v2. So he's definitely like a number 1 support. Second would be Powerfully. He played AD carry, he played support. He's an insane player, but he played really well this week, and he's been playing really well every single week. I'm gonna say it's probably because he's on a really good roster, but he is a good player. After this, it's the same thing with top lane. I have a problem rating supports. So you see Manowars, Daddy Nahor, and Sharkbait. All these players could be 3rd, 4th, or 5th, depending on how well they play in next weeks and everything. I think this is gonna be like the top 5 right here. The rest of them kind of aren't that good. I even say it about Yangsu. Yangsu's my support, but like a lot of these players aren't that good when it comes to like the rest of the roster or the rest of the supports. So
It's fair.
where's Fug? Fug, where you at?
I'm here.
We going next?
Alright.
To Fug's Power Rankings?
Yeah.
Alright, Fug.
Alright. So, quick preface for mine, because it probably looks a decent amount different. Since there's so many changes in the rosters, I just decided not to put anyone who hasn't actually played a game yet in my top 5 for each role. So that's why I don't have people like Josephumi or CBT Jungle or Independence listed, just because yes, they're probably going to be top 5 just because of their ranks or previous performances, but until they actually play on the team, I'm just not putting them up there. Okay, anyways, now that's out of the way. Since Mango left and didn't play last week, he's no longer my number 1, so I just kind of bumped myself up from number 2 to number 1. I think Josiah and I have number 2 just because I think he's looked really good at setting up Ropey top lane and like getting early kills. Even though they lost the series this week, I think he actually did good like against Rixalis for the most part, and I think that even though he was like playing tanks pretty much, he was getting tons of early pressure and kills. And I think a lot more of Rexalis was kind of like the team play element. But if we're just talking about like laning factor, even though he's just playing like Warren and stuff and is like not the most complex champions, like I think he's playing really solid. Tim T, I bumped up after playing against him. I think he's, even though like he's another like Mundo like tank kind of player, he's been playing really solid for like his actual laning. And I think like when he brought out the Vlad, he played it like pretty good as well. He didn't have that much like overall map pressure, but I think Tim T's laning is pretty solid, as well as Freshburger. I bumped up again. I think I didn't have Freshburger in my top 5 last week, but he had some pretty solid laning this week, and I just wanted to bump him up there just because I still think he has problems with actually like taking his advantages from lane and like carrying out the games, but I think he has gotten pretty consistent with his actual like laning phase and like winning lanes and getting solo kills and those kind of things. So I'm bumping him back up there. And then Rick Solis, for similar reasons, has just like been like a staple top laner for Vortex. He's one of the few diamond tops in the league, and I think he's pretty solid. So number 5. My jungle, I don't think has moved that much for the top 3. I think I've had these 3 up here for pretty much like the whole season. Gasp didn't play last week, but had looked really, really good in his first 2 weeks. Knight of the Zed just had a huge pop off last week in the second game. He got Talia and just like, I think he had like 15 kills or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then Ropey has just like been like early game monster again, even though they lost. I think him and Joe looked really good together, or even when he plays around mid, he looks really good. I think his synergy with those two is really solid, and I think early game against Loker, he looked a lot better. I think Loker on the Nocturne looked really solid afterwards, but I think just as far as like early pressure and routing, those kind of things, I think Ropey just looks more consistent than him. Loker's jumping up again, another player that wasn't in my top 5, I think, before. He's coming up, big carry player for his team, like more late game, like Nocturne, those kind of things, like just one-shotting people player. I want to see more like big performances from him. His first game was kind of lackluster, but and also his team is kind of like building comps around him, so it's easier for him to look good. But I think that he definitely is like the carry for his team. So outside of Isan, so I really like him. And then Kazehaya, he was the sub for Raccoons last week, and they finally got their first series win, and he just played pretty solid. There wasn't too many people that I wanted to really put up there. I think Dax Reaper hasn't looked that great. Deadpooling, I haven't seen play yet. CBD Jungle, I haven't seen play yet. TK doesn't even have a jungler. Ornhub lost their junglers, so I just put Kazehaya up there. He looked pretty good though. I think I would put him top 5 even if the other people hadn't left their teams. So not to discredit him, but anyways. Mid lane, DTS, Charlie, Warpack. I don't think too many people are surprised for that. Warpack actually didn't have top 5 last week, and I put in, even though he didn't play, just because I think my opinion, some of the other mid laners have been shaken up a bit. Ash has got a new mid laner. IRL has a new mid laner. Yada yada. Anyways, so Warpack's I'm moving back up to number 3. I think I was just kind of disrespecting maybe a bit last week. Madlife mid laner, I'm also moving up just because he had some really solid performances last week, especially on the Yasuo. I'd like to see him pop off on more champions besides that, which is why he's only number 4, but still really solid performances. And I think Hide on Blake was the other kind of like shining star with Little Groot, and I didn't really want to put Sandillion above him because Sandillion, like Desolate's only win so far has been an FF win. So they're basically like a 0-3 team as well. Well, I mean, we don't know if they would have lost their game last week, but like they don't have any like game wins yet, right? And I think Hash actually has a game win now. So
Okay.
I think Blake and Sandillion are really similar in their players. I think I had Sandillion in my top played, but I mean like my top 5 before, but I just put Blake over him for now, just because he actually played last week. Sandillion didn't, and I think Blake looked good. So yeah. Moving on to ADC, Isan's still number 1. He's been a beast, hasn't changed. Alf, I think I had him number 3 last week. He's just still playing really solid with Uklar, so bumping both of them up 1 spot. Little Groot, the new player for Hash, I think, as most people said, Groot was like the best performing member on Hash in their lost. And I think he looked really good, so bumping him up there. Drowsy didn't play DC one of the games last week. He obviously was playing the Funnel Kaisa, and I think he obviously hadn't played the strategy. But well, being on his team, he hadn't played the strategy at all before. He just like first timed it, so it was a little lackluster on the funnel strat for like farming and knowing where to go, but kind of to be expected. I think he still played okay, so I'm keeping him top 5. And then Astrus just only had played one series, and I didn't really know who else to put up there. The other two I was thinking about was T-Crank and Svensson, but I think last week T-Crank had a kind of like his KDAs and CS were okay, but his damage numbers weren't really as good as the other players. But
Wait. I want to stop you real quick.
What?
I was the one that pointed out damage numbers to you, okay?
No, I know. I'm just saying that was be why I'm putting T-Crank lower. And I think Svensson also is definitely like debatably up there, but yeah, his team has just not been performing as well, and also he basically plays MF every single game. So that's the other reason I'm not putting him up there. My support, Powerfully and Nuggler. I had Powerfully #1 last week. Super good. Popped off actually huge on the brand ADC this last week. Not really a support because he's farming, but I guess still Mage is more the support-esque champion. Nuggler and Alpha have looked super good. Manwalrus, I think in their first week didn't look that great, but had a really solid week this last week, so I'm bumping him up to #3. Nahor has always been like a decent player. I think I had him like up in like top 3 before. He didn't play last week due to not being allowed to play and their team FFing. So hopefully he'll have some better performances, maybe start contesting up with Nuggler and Manwalrus. But again, they both had a really good last week, and Nahor didn't play, so I'm putting him down a bit. And then my last pick, I think, was pretty close between Puff Nasty, Sharkbait, and Forever Alone. And I just put Forever Alone because I think either him or Svensson kind of deserves a shout out for just being like probably the most consistent performing members of their team. I think they've been looking really good, which is kind of ironic considering they're a mid jungle like built team. But I think as a bot lane as a whole, they've looked good, and I think he's just shown more picks than Svensson has. So that's why I'm putting Forever Alone there.
Yeah, so we want to move on to the overall compare.
Yeah, all of them. Argue for another 20 minutes.
Yeah.
All right, let's go comparing top. I think the only big difference I see, because obviously I just didn't include Josephine in mine, is I put Freshburger above Rexalis, and both of you had Rexalis up there. So I just kind of want to hear what you guys' thoughts on why you didn't want to put Freshburger up in your top 5.
Like Freshburger, I feel like he gets resources, right? I can't 100% be sure because I don't have like the stats, but I'm pretty sure the jungle presence top lane is higher than the enemy top laners, like on most games. And I feel like when he gets ahead on Camille, he should be doing things like splitting and like actually adding pressure to the game, but I don't feel like he adds any pressure to the game. I'm like, I don't know, like half the games I play versus Fresh or like watch Fresh play, I just feel like he's trolling with half the shit he does. I'm just like never sure. Like it seems like he could be like a decent player, but I feel like all the other top laners are just better than him for the most part.
I fucking love to hate on Fresh. But I think what last week I put him top 5, I think. Yeah, I put him 5th. And I want to believe in him because he's given resources to carry games or to put pressure on the map. And he just doesn't know what to do with it. He kind of looks at it, they give him a present in his hand and he looks at it and then tosses it back. Because he just doesn't know what he wants to do at all.
I just wish they'd put him back on tanks, bro. I need to stop seeing this Freshburger Camille because it actually tilts me when I see it in game. I'm just like, why? Like, you don't have the engage from your top laner now, so like the team as a whole just has worse team fights. So it's like, why? If your jungler's gonna play carries anyway.
I just thought his performance last week, like again, I agree with what you guys are saying with like when he's not on the tanks like the Mundo and the Ornn, it just seems like he really struggles with how to like participate with helping closing up the game. But if you like look at his actual laning stats, like he's getting solo kills, he's like, I agree he's getting pressure, but he still is like getting leads on his own. He almost always like throws it away, but there aren't that many top laners that are just like winning their lanes, right? Like Timty sometimes is like getting like laning advantages if he has like a counter pick.
To be fair,
Joe
the game is mostly like
jungle
matchup
pressure.
now.
Yeah, but like he was playing against Darius as Camille and he won that lane. The Darius ended up coming back late game, but that was mostly because Mad Life mid laner and Alpha were playing well. and Freshburger pretty much won that lane. I think most people consider that like a pretty even lane, if not slightly Darius focused.
Hash like
Then
dropped that
again,
first
like
game though.
he played a tank against Swain and then beat the Swain in lane, was up like 50 CS. He,
But like, what is
like-
Swain gonna do when it pulls in a Mundo? Mundo's gonna just
I
hit
agree
R
it's
and
hard
run.
for him to kill him, but he still was like up CS, like doing shit on the map, right? Like I think he had a good performance against Beast Snake, and I consider Beast Snake pretty good. I think I've had Beast Snake in my top 5 until like last week, so that's why I don't know. I just think against most of these other top laners who you have like above him, like Rixalis and stuff, I think Freshburger in general like generates more of an advantage more consistently, I guess, than those people. Like I think a lot of the like Rexalises and kind of thing just kind of like sit top, you know what I mean? Like Josiah.
I mean, if you give Rixalis, like, he always gets the early band and, like, the Camille band and stuff. Like, if you give Rixalis a carry and you give Freshburger a carry, who's going to win the team your game, right? Who's more likely, right? Is it going to be Freshburger or is it going to be Rixalis? And I think, like,
yeah, but
10 times
they've
out
been
of 10, it's
putting
going to be
Rexalis. I agree, but they've been putting Rexalis on tank duty, and he was losing lane to
He has
Josiah.
he has
on
to be
tank
like
duty.
bitch. Well, to be fair, in tank v tank with Ornn, like Ornn always wins that lane because Ornn's just a
Yeah,
better
just like it's
laner.
won 3 games straight.
And
you're
like
just gonna, like sit
the
there
other
and win
thing
lanes.
is, he does have to play tanks just because like his teammates, right? Because like Loker
Mhm.
plays carries,
Yeah.
right? Because he carries the team to the early game. Ison, you're not gonna put that man on tanks. Manrolrus, he does play tanks, but it's like he played like Taric, Nami, and then Braum. He looked good on the Braum. He looked like absolutely miserable on the Nami, and then the Taric looked okay. And
Okay,
then
here-
his
this is
mid
what I
laner is
wanna
not gonna play
point
tanks. Like, there's no way you're gonna put your mid laner on tanks. So
This is what I'm gonna point out. Anyway, actually, wait. I'm gonna refute that point, specific point. DTS, you played tanks mid, okay?
I played Ward. I built Rylai's until the
No,
Embers.
you used to be a huge advocate of Sion mid, okay?
Add Saya
So-
mid. I haven't played a single game of Sion mid in my life.
Either way, so freaking, I want to point this out. Game 3 of Hash versus Red Raccoons. Fresh builds a Abyssal Mass against a full AD team.
Yeah, somebody pointed
You
that
can't defend that.
out. Yeah, that was just trolling.
This whole series just
Yeah.
off of this last week, he loses. I don't know. He won lane against Beast Snake as Camille against Darius, right? And then he goes and has a lower KP, and he is up in CS. He has a lower KP, and like the rest of Red Raccoons able to team fight and win through the rest of the game, right? Freshburg doesn't know what to do while split pushing, so they lose that game. Game 2, he plays Mundo into Swain, and what is Swain gonna do when he pulls in a Mundo? Mundo's just gonna for him, right? But not only that, the whole team for Hashling Slashers wins on the map. The whole team just wins. So they're gonna win that game 100%. Game 3, not only does he build an Abyssal Mask against a whole AD team, the only AP damage that they have is a freaking Maokai, right? Maokai's not gonna push you around as a tank, okay? But not only that, he goes 2-8-2. And gets just rolled over. And it's not just like Beast Snake like solo winning, obviously. It's gonna be the jungle interaction top lane. But there's no way that you should go 2-8-2 on Ornn and build an Abyssal Mass against a full AD team. Like, oh my god, I couldn't even think about putting him top 5.
Yeah, I think one other thing that's interesting is you putting Sindillion above Charlie, actually, or just in top 5 at all. I think that's pretty interesting. I think that's worth discussing.
So my point for Sindillion being top 5, I had actually problems putting Charlie Smells top 5. One, because they lost to Vortex this week. Whoa, yeah, but they lost to Vortex this week, and in my opinion, Charlie Smells doesn't do better than average on anything other than Orianna, right? I think we've agreed on that.
His Yasuo looked pretty good. He was beating the shit out of Pickaxe.
Yeah, it's
He was
Pickaxe.
so far ahead.
Yeah, it was a sub, but
It's a sub that they don't really play with that much with.
yeah,
I mean,
Kurama
look-
did win when he was on the talent. Kurama did win lane.
Did he? I thought Charlie was up
Thanks.
CS.
Charlie was up a bit of CS, but he went like
I
3
mean,
and
that-
6, and
Yeah,
Kurama
I mean,
went like
he
4-0-7.
He died like going to. Dude, Chroma was such a non-factor that game. There's no way. Like, if you watch the first game of the Vortex JP, this game, Kurama had like zero reason. Like, the reason Vortex won was not like any, like zero.
Okay, I didn't
from
didn't
Kurama.
put Kurama top 5 because I agree
Yeah.
he wasn't like doing that much. But I'm saying it's not like Charlie was like beasting on Kurama. He was just shoving in waves and out farming him as
I mean,
talent.
sure, I agree,
Game,
but like,
game 1, Kurama goes 4-0-7. Charlie Smells goes 3-6-2 as talent. Okay.
okay, I mean,
And then game 3, where he goes against Pickaxe, Charlie Smells goes 4-2-2, same exact CS. Pickaxe goes 3-3-5.
okay, I mean,
So it's not like he's just like
he
beasting
was
him. I mean,
in
yeah, he's
lane.
winning lane,
No,
but
he was. It was like it was so much better until the Baron call. Like JBZ should have won the game through Charlie, and they could have, but they just didn't because they trolled around Baron Vision and they just lost. Like that's why I thought JBZ was just a better team than Vortex. Like I don't think they lose that series 8 out of 10 times.
yeah, but 8 out of 10 times isn't like we're in those 2 times, right?
Yeah, but we're
Where-
ranking top 5, where it's like okay.
Yeah, no, of course.
So
yeah, but
if I'm laning, okay, so let's even say like Sandillion and Charlie Smells are laning, which we've seen happen a bunch, by the way. I'm pretty sure Charlie hasn't lost that lane before. Just like
I don't know.
Soul, just power.
outside,
ranking.
so my point is that either way, he's playing Orianna for the most part and doing really well on it. This is a champion that's not that good, and then he's playing Yasuo, which is pretty good right now. I wouldn't say in the mid lane, but he's pretty good.
Yeah,
just in
he's
general.
good in the mid lane. That's the only
Okay, so he's good in the mid lane. We have Talon, which is pretty good. We've said we had a discussion before the stream, but Talon's good in solo queue, and it's kind of awkward in 5s.
Yeah, I wish they'd stop taking that champion for him, but
But if played correctly, could still be good.
I mean, sure, but if you're like, it's just okay. Does the enemy mid know how to use his mic? Oh, okay. Like they called my roam. Like, oh, I guess we're just gonna like the enemy mid's gonna push in, and then like they're gonna hit my turret, or like the enemy mid's gonna pick like if you blind Talon, which I think they've done twice, by the way. I think they've blinded Talon twice.
Yeah.
Huh.
If you
But even
blind
if-
Talon, or I don't know if they blind Talon. It might. I'm thinking about Scripts probably. But if you blind Talon, the enemy mid's just gonna pick something that fights you, like Yasuo, or they're gonna pick you like our rally is open obviously, but like stuff that like pressures mid is so much harder for Talon to deal with, because like you're not. It's really kind of difficult to like all in. It's not difficult to all in his Talon. It's easy, but it's a lot riskier in coordinated games where like the enemy junglers, like the enemy could just walk up and you'll be like, oh hey, look, I'm a defenseless like Zoe, like, oh no, don't like WQ me, right? And then the enemy jungler is just gonna come and like kill you.
Yeah, I mean, I think another thing to point out is just like, not even talking about how good Charlie is. Like, I think you can agree, like Charlie's definitely a top 5 player. He can win lane on certain picks. I think he's a little weaker on other picks, right? But it's like Sandillion also, like, he's been playing consistent for like not really dying mid lane and like keeping up in CS for the most part.
What are
But
his
he's
stats
not, like,
for all the games?
Okay, so let's
smashing
look at this.
lanes.
Let's look at this. So Sandillion will never be like the key factor for his team losing.
Okay,
He's
so
the only one on his team that's playing well. You look at like
Yeah.
every single proof of win, and you can look at all of them, every single game. Like very first week or so, he's playing against Twitch.tv less JVs, right? He is 4-2-4 as Ornn, right? Because they're playing tanks.
yeah,
mid.
they played Ornn,
The
yeah.
rest of his team is straight inting. 1-6,
Sure.
1-8, 2-4, 1-5, right? He's the only
Okay,
player on this
so-
team that's doing well.
So
Look at
that's
the
the
next
thing,
game.
though.
Look at the next game. Like if you have the next game where Blazing Hot 0-2, Cinderhulk is 1-6.
Okay, yeah.
Leon Sport's playing pretty well, but Sindillion's the only one's winning.
Believe me, I agree that
No.
Desolate is not a good team. They are not a good team. However, you can't beat like all the other mid laners on my list, right? If you look at this, these are all mid laners that can just carry a game or that will win your team the game. Like Sandillion doesn't look awful, right? I don't think he looks awful. I don't think he looks top 5 because the other top 5 mids are actually going to just win you the game.
Yeah.
Like
I think
Mad Life
another
on
thing to
Yasuo played
consider
really
is
well.
the current meta, right? Sandillions are really good, like farm up, never die, wait till late game, like Cassiopeia kind of style player, right? But like the meta is like snowball the game and end at 25 minutes. Like
Yeah, I mean, even
you
if
don't
you
really want a mid laner that's like good at playing safe and out farming the other guy or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like at least in my opinion, he's not like pressuring and like roaming and like doing all those kind
like
of
when
things.
we played our series versus Desolate, like I played more than mid because I knew if we were just gonna farm mid, like I was just gonna give farm to jungle and then we just win like through macro play or whatever.
I
'Cause there's,
just think that if you have your whole team falling apart before the 10 minutes, you can't really blame.
Well,
the
yeah,
player.
but
Well, he's
like
not
you have
applying
to.
pressure to the rest of the map.
Sure.
Well, your bot lane is like 1-8. Like
I mean, no, I agree. Believe me, Desolate does
I
not
agree.
look like a good team. They look definitely like one of the worst teams in the league, right? But I feel like
Okay, I'll look at it this way. I think there's an
Urkag,
argument
me,
for
Vaughn.
Sandillion top 5. I just don't think there's an argument for Sandillion above Charlie
that
Smells.
too, yeah. That's what
I
I'm
think
surprised
I
about. 'cause
think if
Charlie's
you want to
gonna
argue
carry a game.
Sandillion above Hyde on Blake or Sandillion above Mad Life mid laner, I can get behind that. But Sandillion above Charlie, is where I kind of am like, I don't believe with that too much.
Yeah, because I mean, you look
I don't
at,
think there's any other mid laner outside of Charlie that could be top 4, right? So I mean, in my opinion, I think Sandillian's more of a player that could carry his team. It's just unlucky that his team's every single player is going like 1 and 5, right?
I mean,
Whereas
like,
where
even if
Charlie
you-
Smells, he's not having his team go like that.
I mean, you can even check like resources last season, right? Like, dude, my team was so bad, but there was just some games where I could just 1v9. Like the series actually we played versus Desolate. I just like went Azir and I went like 20, dropped 20 kills as Azir, and I dropped like a million kills as Corki and stuff like that. Where it's like you have like the better mid laners, like Independence will probably have a pop off game where like everybody else in his team's probably just not gonna do well, and he's just gonna be so fed he's gonna carry on like Xerath or Cassia or something, right? Charlie can do the same thing. Charlie's not. I haven't seen it. Like he does the same thing on Orianna actually. I think he can do it on other champs. We just haven't seen him play too many other champs currently. I think Warpack can do it. I don't think we've seen Warpack just like straight 1v9 yet, but I think he can do
the
it.
game where you like went like 13 kills on LeBlanc was
Okay,
fairly 1v9.
Was that versus
That
Vortex,
was
right?
versus Vortex, who aren't a
Yeah,
bad team.
that's true. Yeah, he did pop off on the Blanc. Yeah, like that's like the other mid laners just have like the pop off movements where they're just gonna like they're gonna be the one where you're like, okay, like we can win this game, just focus like mid, we win. Like I don't feel like it's the same for Vortex or for Desolate where it's like, okay, like our mid has like such a big advantage, we can win the game if we just play through this guy. I just feel like nobody on Desolate has an advantage, they just lose. So
So like
it
the
feels
only
really tragic.
advantage is Sandillian.
I don't think
This
he
is like-
ever has an advantage.
Well, he'll be have a good KDA, be up in gold like, on his whole team.
I mean,
You
up
can't-
on his team,
like I
sure,
said, you
but
can't apply.
you look, sure,
You
I
can't
mean,
apply pressure to the rest of his map.
It's easier to look up like a better player when your entire team is like god awful.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's like you can say I agree he's the best player on his team, but his team's not good, so it's not an accomplishment.
Yeah. Another one I want to ask quick from Astrus, just because me and DTS seem to be higher or more similar, is one, why you have Isan number 5, and 2, why you have Uklar above Powerfully.
I think Isan is okay. Nuggler definitely a better player than Powerfully, just straight up. I don't think Powerfully is that good. I just think the support's weird because like the top 2 are obvious. Like Powerfully and Nuggler are definitely up there. But I think Nuggler is definitely better because with Alf in their bot lane has been consistent throughout the whole season.
Yeah, but I think you'd also agree that Powerfully's like, okay, not Flame and Drowsy, but I think Powerfully's more 2v1ing lane than Uklar is,
Wait,
right?
has Drowsy and Dox have they lost a lane yet this season?
I don't think so, no.
I think they've just crushed.
Like, because
Um,
when I watch
maybe-
the VODs, like, Drowsy's
know.
playing, like, pretty good, but Doxling is, like, literally just, like, setting everything up. Like,
Scripting more
and
keys,
also,
yeah.
he carried a game on fucking Brand, but he also, like, got MVP, carried a game as Alistair. Like, completely different play styles.
I think he's actually the only support to get an MVP so far.
I don't even see MVPs.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
honest with you.
Well, he's only a support to get an MVP, so
Yeah.
take that as you will.
Whatever.
But yeah, I do
could
think
put
the
Powerfully
top
up.
1 and 2 is pretty close.
But
Uklar and
anyways,
Alf look really clean,
I
actually.
agree it's close. Uklar's good, but the main one I want to talk about is Isan, just because I think Isan is like a fair amount above. Like, okay, Alf and Groot are close to him. I'll give that, but I think Isan still looks a fair amount better.
I actually think it's pretty close, all 3 of them. I
You think
actually
so?
think all of the ADCs are like relatively close. Like, it slowly like ladders down, but I think it's actually pretty close. Like, I don't think Aizen is like leaps and bounds above like Vyvan's.
Wait, am I
Astrus,
saying it right? Is
Groot,
it
Alf.
Isan or Aizen?
Aizen. It's Aizen.
Aizen.
Yeah, I don't think
Okay.
he's like leaps and bounds above like Groot, Alf, or Vyvan's, or like Astrus.
Yeah.
For
Okay,
Isan's
I think
definitely great.
he's had more good performances. So, like, even when you go in there like week 1 where they're just like getting smashed, he's looking like really solid. I think.
like
What has he played?
average.
Has it been like Kaisa and like Lucian, right? What's he
The
played?
game that he got smashed on was he played Varus and Kog'Maw, and he goes 6 and 6 and then 0 and 2. So it's definitely like average to
The
kind of.
Kog'Maw game wasn't that great, but the Varus game, if you watch it, like he was literally dumping on bot lane, and then other lanes lost and just like snowballed in on him. But they literally like crushed bot lane, got like 3 solo kills, took the turret, went top, got another like double killed them again, took the top turret, and then like went to go mid, and the enemy team just murdered them like 4 times in a row, and they lost.
He's getting destroyed in damage wise in that game, in that Varus game. He's
That
down
was-
14k.
Well, no, that was that the game they played? No, was it? I
Wait,
think
am I
Alf
thinking
was
the
the
right
one
game?
that played Varus. No, yeah, I'm thinking of a different game
Yeah.
where Alf played Varus versus like Zed Nocturne or something, and he didn't have that much damage because like you can't protect that. Seems like With their
But
team,
I,
at
I
least.
think in their very first series where he played Kog'Maw in the second game.
Yeah,
is
he
the
played
one I'm
Varus
thinking
Varus
of.
was the game 1, and the game 2 is Kog'Maw.
Who were
Kog'Maw
Yeah.
goes 0-2. He goes against Belichick when Edsy was playing still.
Oh.
Edsy destroys him in damage.
Yeah,
this-
but I also think like he just didn't have a front line and just got dove over and over again. Like there's like literally nothing he could do to auto attack in team fights, and Edsy's just like free hitting because
Yeah.
Edsy was on like Ezreal or something, wasn't he?
Ezra's on Lucian.
Yeah, I
Or
mean, I just
Lucian.
put. I
Okay.
just
Edsy,
put,
I mean, Edsy has no front line in this game other than Urgot.
I just
So
put.
I'm a little confused.
I mean,
He
I
has
think.
no
I
Iron
think.
Bomb.
I think Edzy would be the best AD if he was still playing. By the way, but
Yeah.
he isn't. So, but like, I had Eisen at first just because of recent performances. He's looked a little bit better than like. I think. If there's any ADC that's gonna overtake him on my list, it'd probably be Alf or Groot, depending on how Groot looks.
Yeah,
but I think
mean,
it's a little
Groot's
bit
a lot
dependent
more
on team.
question mark because he hasn't played as much.
Yeah, he's
I
only
think
played one
Alf
game.
has been probably the most consistent ADC for laning wise. As you said, like Eisen's series for Spell Chat obviously wasn't perfect. The second game he didn't do well at all. But
My
the
only
first game,
problem.
I was saying he did good in lane. I'm not commenting on his team fighting, but
Yeah,
I do remember him like popping off in lane.
I don't know. I think.
And also
The
he's
only
played.
outstanding games that he's won though are against definitely like bottom 3 bot lanes. Like he goes against like
Like T-Kring Shark Fate?
No, he goes against Hashling.
They're all
He
bot.
goes and makes Ryan. He gets Ryan. No, Hashling still has.
That's
No,
Desolate.
this is not Hashling. Sorry,
Desolate.
Desolate. My fault. Yeah, still bottom 3 bot lanes definitely. Rhino
Yeah, I
and
mean,
Taziel
I
are
think-
definitely really bad.
I definitely think
But
they're
then
probably the worst balling in the. In
The only
in
game that
league.
he actually does like really well in is the first game against Twitch.tv. He does really well. He does insane damage numbers against T-Crank, and the rest of the series, T-Crank's like T-Crank beat him game 2. Like he did keep up in damage that one, but in game 3, he beats T-Crank, but not that by that much.
I was
He has a
saying
higher kill participation, but he's down in CS
That's also
just by a
not
little bit.
I could tell all the story though. To be fair,
Yeah.
it depends a lot on champs you're playing and like comps, because like if I'm like for example if I'm playing like super jungle Kai'Sa, right, and versus let's say like Warpack's playing like Zed, right, and I'm doing so much more damage than Warpack, it's to be expected, right? It's not like oh my god Warpack sucks, he's playing Zed, right? Like he didn't do as much damage as like the super jungle Kai'Sa that just like free hit into like a Mundo or something like that, right? It's like it's hard to say like just off of stats.
We're not talking though about like some super funnel strat or anything. We're talking about like 80 carries. 80 carries supposed to be
Well,
like
like what were the
consistent
comps?
damage no
Like,
matter
what were the
what.
comps?
Game 3. Let me go scroll back up.
Because I know that was he playing Kai'Sa game 3?
Game 3, Isan plays Kai'Sa versus Lucian. Game 2, Isan plays Lucian versus Ezreal. Game 1, he plays Lucian versus Zaya.
Yeah, I mean, having
So-
more damage.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Lucian's gonna have more damage, but that's like way too big of a number for me to give you like, okay, T-Crank, like
Yeah.
T-Crank, what are you doing? But I don't know. I don't see Isan as like he's going to continue doing this because he still has to play GBC, right?
Mm.
I'm pretty sure that he will lose to Drowsy powerfully.
Think so?
Isan is a good player, but I don't think he's a good enough player with Manuel. I still, even though I put blah blah blah, powerfully second, Drowsy third, I still think they're stronger, like much stronger than Isan and Malwars are.
I think lane matchups is really hard to be like, oh my god, this player's better than this player in this lane, because it's like, currently it's so much on like matchup, like counter pick and stuff like that in this meta, especially where you can like flex so many different things. Because like if I'm
Well,
playing,
for the most part, in peak up we've seen
Oh,
80
wait.
carries
Standard
playing
stuff.
80 carry.
Quick news update. I just got added in general. Apparently, Opposin has a roster he wants to submit to play.
yeah,
They removed his captain role because he just kept spamming us every time we talked to him to drop his team from the league.
right.
But he apparently wants his captain role back, and he's going to be submitting a new roster.
Poggers.
Tell him to submit
interesting.
right now so we can start talking about it on stream.
All right, I'll give him captain role back, I guess.
I mean, the other thing is like, is it confirmed that we know like why they were dropped, or why they dropped?
You want to talk
Like,
about
can we
it?
say that? Can we say?
That what?
Like,
Why
can
they
we
got
say
dropped?
why they got dropped?
Why the other players got
Or
dropped?
no, why they dropped?
Opposing team
in
was
the first
flagged, I
place?
guess you'd say.
Well, the only thing that happened was just Opposin. Like someone
That's, like,
linked us
guaranteed?
an account that was well, basically someone found his what is it called, fucking Reddit account, and he'd been talking about like, hey, this is me, and like linked a D5 account basically.
Oh. I mean, cause like, I think that's a shitty thing to do in this league. Is just to, like, randomly smurf, because, like, B, so A, don't smurf, right? It's, I don't know why the fuck you smurf in a league that literally has no,
They
like,
linked their roster.
has no, like, positive outcome for you. Like, you're not making $1,000.
Literally link a multi-op.gg of 5 people. Yeah, he did.
Nice.
He just
P5,
literally linked.
P5,
You want me to set
P5,
up?
P1, P2.
Wait, he just can't play with that team.
Oh wait,
because-
fuck, Fats is on this team, bro.
He
Wait,
can't
yeah,
play
he
with
has
that team.
Fats.
Okay, let's see.
Wait,
pull
no,
it
this
up.
team
He's
is
not-
eligible. They have a P5 player. They're good.
Oh, P5?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Alright, let's see.
Assuming these are all legit accounts, which it looks like they are. Just eyeballing it.
What are
Yeah, that's
these?
too many
Yo,
games.
can you like
Yeah, you can pull it up
just
on
put it in your browser and
I
just
did.
swap the
Yeah, I did.
window?
I did.
Oh, okay. My stream's just not
Okay,
live.
so we have mid laner, Panda Parade, Plat 5, same player. Okay, same Lux. Chimichanga Chan support, D5, AD player, but support main apparently. According to PWGG, Jungle is P1, plays Rek'Sai, Garner, King, Yikes. Fats,
Okay, he's saying the
Yes.
the roles as well. So Fats, Sir Razel
and then Lethal Strike.
is top jungle. Or is it like obvious what they are? Middle. So is there
Zero
ADC
games.
lethal strike then?
ADC and support kind of awkward to look at.
Yeah, just 0 games on anything.
Wait, so Posen's legitimately not playing on this team, huh?
Yeah, unless he's smurfing again, which, by the way, if you're smurfing again, don't do
Lethal
it.
Strike looks kind of sketchy though. No games.
No,
in 2
no.
months.
I mean, he's a 50%. It could be Apazin, but the other point I wanted to make is that if you're losing in a league while smurfing, you're fucking awful. Like, come on.
Yeah.
If you're
Jesus.
smurfing,
No.
how do you get stomped if you're smurfing? Like, it's so funny. I don't know.
Wait. So are you guys
do.
playing them this week?
I
Assuming
played
they
them this week.
schedule?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, so we're gonna see fucking Fats playing against. Wait, Fats is playing against Warpack. That's actually hype because they shit talk each other in general like every day.
ADC is Chimichanga.
Put in a roster, not fuck over the league. Yeah, I mean, I respect that,
Supports Lethal Strike.
but having to smurf in the league in the first place is just such a like, come on.
I mean, I just don't understand why they dropped their entire team just because opposing got
I
bumped
think
up.
because they
4
play
points.
as 5 or whatever.
I guess so. They wanted to play as 5 in a different league, so they just
Something like
recruited
that.
some players.
But yeah, I
That
think
makes sense.
I don't know. I just feel like if you're smurfing in a league, you should win.
This Lethal
Otherwise,
Strike
it's, like,
does
kind
not
of
play-
embarrassing.
I mean, they were over by like 2 points. It's not like he was hard smurfing.
Yeah.
Bro.
Wait, this Lethal Strike kid has not played in like forever.
Okay, I kind of respect that they just gave us a team,
Yeah. It's pretty nice.
but we'll see what the council has to say about it.
I'd
'Cause-
probably put them maybe below Desolate though.
Because I know we were in
It's a good
talks about
likely.
dropping their team because they obviously dropped all of their players. So, I mean, it's obviously up to T Crank.
Wait, so you want to
wanna
talk
do.
about these players? Because
My-
we know
my
this one.
My assumption is that this team's probably going to stay. The
I
new
don't
one
think
they've-
any.
they've
I
submitted.
think when we come to like the power rankings stuff, I don't think any of those players are in the top 5.
Wait, I think
I
I think
uh,
Fats is top
Fats-
5.
Elo Fats
I-
could be top
yeah,
Okay,
5.
you
I
banned
put
2
Fats top
champs.
5.
You banned 2 champs. What does he do?
Okay, I'm gonna be devil's
Okay.
advocate because I'm gonna give the Fats argument. Fats like, oh well, if you ban 2 champions against me, my team will have 2 more picks they can pick.
No, it's
Yeah,
so
that's
awful.
his argument.
Such a shit argument. It's like
I-
oh yeah,
I
I'm gonna be
agree that
useless.
He drops down a lot when he's not in his like main.
Yeah, so
Cheddar
you just
or whatever,
banned
right?
you just banned 2 champs and he
But-
looks lost.
I also agree that when he's looking a lot worse, he still looks like competitive with people like Trashburger and people
He
like
definitely better than
Poseidon.
the bottom 5 top.
That's what
players.
I
That's
mean,
what
I'd agree, but
like. I think he could like still even not in his main shit like compete with
like
people like
week-
Timty, Poseidon, Trashburger.
yeah, a bad
Rexalis,
week for
those kinda
Tim T and
things.
Rexalis, he's definitely top 5.
maybe. I don't know.
That's what I think.
I mean, I've only played with Fats like once, and that was on resources. And once you ban 2 champs, it was not good.
The rest of this team looks so.
We had him like
I
first
don't
time
like
Ornn in like games and shit, like play Shen. But I mean, we'll see how they do. Hopefully they do.
I still want to
better
point out
than
that
I'm
this
saying.
Lethal Strike guy's never played support, and hasn't played in forever.
Wait, so Lethal Strike isn't their ADC?
Lethal
Who's
Strike's
their-
their support.
Chimichanga Chant is their ADC. Okay.
Yeah.
I was
But-
just looking. It said like preferred position was rank or whatever. It was support and rank. So I
Yeah,
just
This
okay,
assumed
Lethal
that.
guy does not play at all. Oh, whatever. I don't care. I'm not being big detectives in Prophecy Cup.
I
I'm only a
mean-
house party big detective.
I mean, they look like pretty. They're probably below points actually. It's kinda hard to
Yeah,
say.
I'm pretty sure they are below points. I'm almost positive.
Plat 2,
They only have
D5,
2
P1,
D5s.
P5.
Because
D5.
2D5s would put you above by 2 points, and then having Plat 2 would put you above by 1 point, and then it's Plat 5, so they'd be
Yeah,
under by, like,
I don't really know any of these players, so I can't really talk about them. I don't know their AD. I don't know their mid laner. But Plat 5 is, you know, probably not good enough for the other mids in the league. But I don't know, maybe if they get Swain.
We'll have to see, dude. This mid laner's definitely not top 5.
We'll see,
Yeah,
dude.
that
Maybe they 1v9 on Swain or Lux. We'll see.
Yeah. My bad. Maybe they pick some crazy, like, Yasuo random, never played it before, and start shitting on kids.
Just 1v9ing. Yeah, hard smurfing.
Yeah.
Jungler plays regular stuff, it looks like. Fats, we already know who Fats is.
Yeah, but one thing I'm skeptical on for this is basically, in the past, when things like this happen, at least in like leagues like CL and stuff, they basically just say like if you replace more than 3 players or something like that, they'll like, I mean, I know freaking IRL has already broken that rule, but
yeah.
they'll be like, if you literally change out your entire roster, you're basically like, what's to stop, for example, my team from not making it through play-ins, and then I tell a team that did make it in, hey, I'll give you 2 skins if you just give my team the spot, and they drop all their players, put in all your players, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's basically just happened. Like their team literally was just like, okay, we don't want to play anymore. Who wants our spot? And just gave it to 5 players who didn't play in the play-ins. Right?
That's fair. I mean, that's
So
up to
it's
council to decide, right? Because like
that's why I'm saying like I don't want to confirm 100% this team's playing because it's up
Doxlene
to
is
people to
talking
talk
about,
about it.
Hey,
Yeah,
just want to point out, Doxlene's talking about in the past they don't allow 1 player to make entire roster in the middle of the season.
yes, I mean, I think another thing that's potential to talk about is like if Square One were to come in, like if they're you know all still as 5 and they still want to play.
The Square One was
Because
tied
they did,
for the play-ins
yeah, they
to
did,
make it
they
in.
did
Like
lose
they were
the
literally
tiebreaker.
tied.
Yeah, they did.
I know
lose
they
tiebreaker,
lost it,
so,
but they were technically within points of top 6,
yeah.
right?
And they were,
Or whatever, top 4, whatever.
that would
it was
make it. I don't think they'd be a top team either way if Square One made it in, but I do think it'd be maybe better than just seeing 5 people completely replace like
Yeah, like 5 random people they put in.
Especially when like, oh no.
I don't know. They're talking about if it's in the rulebook right now, so whatever.
We'll see.
And people are already saying that Lethal Strike is probably a Smurf, but we'll see.
I mean, it looks sketchy for a player that doesn't play support.
But
just a
he
random
doesn't have
support.
insane win rate,
But
and
yeah.
the count is like.
Oh, I mean, to be
The
fair,
only
win
problem
rate.
with that count is there's no games played on
Yeah.
it, like ever.
Yeah, but I'm saying like going like silver, platinum, currently platinum, 53% win rate, whatever. Like if you go on his tier graph, it's nothing like insane, right?
I mean, I don't.
It's something
like I
insane
said,
we
I
don't
wouldn't.
play.
Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if it's not a Smurf, and I probably don't think it is. But you know, the entirely new roster thing is just XP.
Oh, this is wait. In 2 months he climbs it from silver 1 to P3.
2 months. It's not that long.
Yeah, but that's like your bronze and silver for 2 seasons straight.
I mean, it's definitely an alt account. Like, let's be real, right?
Yeah, no, nah.
Yes, yeah, I agree with that. But
Oh.
I'm saying like it looks like the guy actually plays on it or whatever, right?
Was it says they're going to DSG Premier? That's.
He definitely hasn't played on it in a while.
I'd be surprised if TK wins games in DSG Premier. It's gonna be pretty XP.
Well, their roster might be slightly different without the cap,
Yeah,
is
true.
my guess.
That's true. But even so, I don't think. Not with the same core. Probably not even close. But we're talking about P-Cup, so you know how it be. So is that it?
Yeah.
Anything else
we're
you
good.
want to discuss? Otherwise, we're pretty set on what you want.
All right.
That it, huh?
I'm Fug. This is Astrus. Thanks for being a guest and also hosting because my internet went out.
Yep.
BTS.
Yeah, no worries.
See you guys next week.